I don't think my way is the right way. I just think it's my way.
Yeah.
And I learn so much from people that are different than me. And when I think the really one of the ideas is like, can we create a space where we can connect? I mean, I always say it's about connection with self, other, and something bigger than us.
Hi everyone, this is Christina Rahm, and this is Chris Rahm and Jocelyn Rahm. Reese Rahm, right?
Rahm.
I love your last name too.
Reese Rahm.
Yeah, Reese Rahm, which I love. And my brother and my sister-in-law. I'm just thankful that we're all part of each other's lives, and we did part of a podcast, but I really want people to get to know more your space and what you guys have as a mission and what you're going to do with this space, because this is a beautiful area. We are going to have the Elysium event in February. We're going to have a Root event here. We want to welcome people from all areas of the world and all areas of life, right? I always say socioeconomic, mental, emotional status. Chris and I actually talked about frequencies, which is really interesting. And we talked a lot about you, Jocelyn, and how amazing you are. And I'm not going to cry the whole podcast. And just our journey as a family and how amazing in your journey. And I want you guys to share the mutual mission you have together and what you want to do for humanity. Because I think sometimes we don't say it, and I think it's important to say it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to know, because when they come in your space, you want people that are willing to work on the journey, right? And Jocelyn, you and I talked yesterday about, and Chris and I talked a little bit about, if you're not working on the journey, if you're not evolving, if you're not trying, and of course, I'm not judging anyone that chooses not to, because I understand it's hard. But when you work through fear, when you work through pain, which we all have, and Chris and I talked about the fact that I feel bad when I do podcasts or meetings and people say, you know, you had Lyme disease or you had cancer. The point is, we all have pain. It's my pain's not any more than anyone else's. It's a lot. We just don't talk about it a lot together. And I feel like this is such a space. People are going to be able to work through different things without judgment, and in a spirit of peace. But also sometimes that comes with hard work, along with, you know, we talk about meditation and prayer. And I always say to people, I probably meditate and pray 2 to 4 hours a day, because I do it in my sleep, and I go to sleep that way. That's the only way I can fall asleep. And then when I wake up, that's how I start my morning. So Clay and I, and Chris probably doesn't know this, when we got together, we had our rules. We talked about our list. Clay didn't have a list. I had a list. I told you yesterday, Clay came with a blank piece of paper. I had all this stuff. It made me feel like, well, what's wrong with me? I have all these expectations. He doesn't have any. But now that we've worked through this, we both had them. Let's be honest. Everyone has something they're wanting out of a relationship or needing. But Clay and I aren't together in the morning. So one of my things was, I'm so sorry that my personality, I have to be alone. That's where Mary Ella gets it. I need time by myself. I don't want to be around people early in the morning. I need 2 to 3 to 4 hours just to be me. So I can find me, so I can center me throughout the day and be there for other people. So we're all different. You guys have developed this relationship in a working environment, and now you are going to let people come into your space to learn. I really want you guys to share what this mission is and what you're going to do, and how you're going to accept a person like me who says, I don't want to talk to anyone in the morning because I need to find, I need time for myself, versus a Clayton Thomas who wakes up like the Energizer Bunny and doesn't stop. Doesn't make us one right or wrong. You're going to welcome all these people, from a CEO to someone that doesn't have anything. And for me, this mission is so important, because I feel like we exclude so many people in life. And I really want you guys to tell everyone, even more than last time, your vision, your mission, and why this is so important to you and your family.
Yeah, beautiful. You want to start, or you want me to?
One of the things that I was thinking as you were talking is that I would say we've fought for, because, well, you know this, when you start something, everyone has an idea of like what they think it should be, which is fine. But at the end of the day, you're creating it, so you have to like follow the thing that's the thread inside. And And it has a little bit to do with some of the conversations we've talked about. It probably has to do with how I was raised, and then we've talked about it, is that idea of, everyone's on their own path and they do it in their own way. And I really fought for having a place that could hold lots of different paths at different paces, kind of like you said, like you and Clayton are different.
Yeah.
And that felt really important to me because I don't think my way is the right way. I just think it's my way.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from people that are different than me. And I think the really one of the ideas is like, can we create a space where we can connect? I mean, I always say it's about connection with self, other, and something bigger than us. But can we create a space that can hold a lot more than the echo chambers that we typically are in? Like, we're usually around people that think similar to us all the time. And can we hold more? And on top of that, can we also hold our pain? Like, can it be more than just light and love?
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. I love that.
But it's not, you're not working through all the hard stuff of it. That's why I said that, because I want people to know that, because if you come to I think meditation and prayer and community is so important, but the community has to be willing to work through this pain together that we're all experiencing, the fear everyone in this world is experiencing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but one of the reasons why like one room is really light and the other room is that deep blue-green color, or like a darker color. I mean, it is the main reason why we did this, is because we wanted to hold both.
Yeah.
And when you go into a space that's darker, it almost is more allowing for those emotions to come up that we often suppress because we don't want the world to see them. But we've talked about and Jocelyn's really amazing at this, of like, can we be witness to and allow someone else's pain to come out? And can we hold that? Because it's scary for lots of people. Tears are scary for people.
Well, it's scary too. Like, I can talk about, our community with Root. There's a lot of people that when you have 500,000 people, right, that you're working with, people die, right? People get sick, people get cancer, people are in pain, they go through divorce. And I really this is such a great podcast I want everyone to watch, because I can't fix that. Does that make sense? Like, people look at me, and I think it's because we developed this, social media is not the reality, right? I want to fix everything for everyone, but I can't. I can't pay for every funeral. I can't pay for every hospital stay. I can't fix every person that's sick. You guys can't either. But finding a community that's there for you and you're all working together doesn't mean everything's going to be fixed right away, right?
Yeah.
But it means you feel these people around you that are going to support you no matter what. Because I feel like I could have lived in a commune. I drive people crazy. People get so mad when I say I could have been a socialist. I'm like, I'm sorry. What I mean by that is, I believe we all should be sharing our gifts and our pain, our love, everything, and we don't anymore as much as I feel like one of the benefits, and Jocelyn, growing up in a small town, is you have a little bit of that. Like, even though that wasn't where I chose to raise my kids, it's a little bit easier when you have an area where people go, or smaller area than like a city, where and people need a place in a city like Nashville or Portland to come to work through this. So it's amazing to me that you're looking for both and not. I find so many times people say to me, I'm praying about this or I'm meditating about this. And I'm like, that's great, but there also has to be some action and you have to work through everything. Like, just the prayer and meditation are necessary for me, but there's more. Do you know what I mean? And the more is not always easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a particular alchemy that starts to happen in a collective sense when we start to open up the doors within the context of community to our own lived experience, which includes the full continuum, right? There's beauty and there's suffering, and those two things are part of this continuum, and they're linked, right? To the extent that you can really understand suffering and move through it is to the extent I think that you can really integrate the richness and beauty of what it means to be a human being. But I think that when we're doing some of that work within the context of community, there's this recognition of the universality of all that we're all on this continuum, and that every experience that we're having is fodder for our growth, you know, whether that's pain, you know, and the transmutation of pain.
One thing on that, like, keep going, but I just want to say, like you said, our gifts, and the first word you used a while ago was pain, and I do think it can be a gift.
Oh yeah.
I think that there's different frames with which we view pain and suffering, which are oftentimes our greatest teachers in terms of what grace actually means. And I believe that there's this sort of larger, more transpersonal, spiritual frame that I look at, like the deep traumas that we undergo as like really initiatory, because they initiate us on this healing path.
They have the possibility of that.
Yeah, they, you know, I mean, they can shut us down,
Right.
close us off.
Right.
But when we're doing that work with each other,
Yeah.
and there's this deep seeing, it starts to kind of lighten the load, and there's just this greater understanding that nobody's bypassing that journey.
No.
You know, and to your point, you know, there's this veneer that we see that we generally, you know, we're all conditioned to kind of posture a certain way, so that those aspects of self aren't forefront, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is that we're all fighting
Oh yeah.
a great fight internally.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's a difference to work through it. There's a difference in working through it and being a victim. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I constantly remind myself, Christina, you are not a victim. This is part of what everyone's going through, because that victim mentality, when you hit that and you feel sorry for yourself, I've been there many times, so I don't know if you two have ever been there. I'm just telling you, I've been there, right?
Sure.
Where I'm like, this isn't fair, this isn't right, I'm mad, and when you start working through past trauma, you go through that, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have to be honest, it comes back to me. Like,
It's a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to, I'm frustrated with myself, because I know, and the people closest to me tell me this, and I always have this thing where people you love, if you have more than, you know, 2 people telling you the same thing, you should listen. I have to take personal time away from work, which people don't like, and they find that I'm never going to get affirmation from that other than my closest friends and family. I'm being honest with you. There will never be anyone around me that says it's okay for Christina to take a break, except for my closest friends and family, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't work through these things without being even alone in your space. And then I think when you bring a community together and you're able to vocalize that pain and even cry through it and hurt through it, you come out such a better, stronger person, or I have. Like,
Well, you're seen. You're
Yeah,
seen in it.
you are.
You're not alone. And I think that there's just this deep loneliness that I think a lot of people experience. And I think it started way before the pandemic. Obviously, this is, you know.
I think it got
humanity's-
worse though.
Yeah, the isolation, and we kind of, I think, lost, and all, you know, we're in the midst of sort of widespread systemic collapse, right? And people
They're scared.
They're scared, and there's less, religion plays its role, but there's less people that are seeking to find the sacred within some of those institutions. And so then it becomes this solo journey, right?
Yeah. And you feel like, some people I think feel like they have to be part, I'm being really honest, I think people feel they have to be part of an institution or a club because that feels safer. But they don't understand that a lot of religion, and I'm not talking bad about religion, a lot of religion, which is why I think it's important to have these community spaces and communities, if a religion is teaching constantly, and again, every church is different, every religion is different, but if they're teaching guilt and fear and you're going to hell and your life is not good because you're dancing or you're drinking, or these don't work, right?
And you're bad.
And
so
you're
shame
on you.
original
Yeah.
sin, right?
Yeah,
So
'cause-
that gets installed.
Yeah.
And then, whether you're connected to a religion or not, it's just the amniotic fluid of the culture is
Oh, yeah.
I'm bad.
Oh yeah, like I even remember, I've been divorced a couple of times and I've been in abuse. I've chosen, I've looked at it. I obviously did not choose that with Clay, and I'm thankful for that, but I had to work through a lot of pain to get there. And it was basically me realizing I'm trying to save people, but I'm not God. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to save people, I'm drowning, but that's been my choice, right? And I have to be strong enough and without placing blame on anyone I was with in the past, because I really believe everyone has their journey, and my job is never to blame someone else, or I have to look at myself. But I feel like even in your own internal families, you carry this guilt, right? And we all have great families, but sometimes it's hard to talk to your own family. It's easier to go to a community that they're all working towards the same goal, to be basically evolve and to help their own sovereignty, but also help humanity. And I think that's one of the things I've always loved about both of you. You connect with people individually, you want them to be happy, you want them to work through their own things and to be the best they can be, but you also you've always developed communities. Like you guys have always developed this group of people, which Jocelyn, I loved yesterday talking to you about, you go through waves, right? You're never, in any relationship, it's never going to be perfect. You're always going to go through with brothers or sisters or parents or each other. So this community for you all, will you be working through all of those things? Will you have, like, I don't want to say an agenda, but basically what is your goal when people walk in here, or do you not have a goal? Does that make sense?
I think this time that we're in, like I think about it in terms of the continuum of forgetting and remembering. I think we're in this time of great forgetting of who we are, our true nature, which I think is love.
Yeah.
We've lost the thread, and the opportunity is the inverse of that, which is the great remembering of who we are and that we matter to each other, and that we've lost the plot, but we can find it again.
Yeah.
And so really, the way that we've talked about it is like, Robert, every aspect of what he put into creating this space,
It's beautiful.
was this honoring of the sacred, right? In this very general sense, because I can't define for you what the sacred means,
Right.
and just as you can't define
Right.
that for me. So
Because
how do
we
we
each have a different.
how do we create a space that's so reminiscent of that and so resonant that people walk in the door and it's almost like a portal into present time? Because I think we're always, one of the other things that we're conditioned to do is time travel constantly. We're not in present time.
Right.
We're in the past, we're ruminating, we're in the future in total conjecture.
Yep.
And I think that what we have, the gift, is really being in present time together. So when people walk through the doors, my greatest hope is that there's some, I don't care if it's conscious or unconscious, but there's some remembering of the sacred
I love
within
that.
themselves, and that every activity that happens here, every event, is really designed to help people remember their goodness and their essential innocence behind all the overlay that gets built up, right? That we take ourselves to believe that is who we are. And while it is our lived experience, the truth of who we are, and we can only make contact with that in present time, in the moment. And so the space is really a poem. It's like, we're artists. The good news, the bad news is that we're artists. And so it's really this this poem that we want to speak to the world, to come join us in remembering who we are, which is we're all divine beings at our core.
Well,
We've
yeah.
just forgotten.